Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the 2-3 Zone, Tony'sPicks.com's look at the WNBA, and it's for Saturday here, Ron, June 14th. We got our big three games here in the W on Saturday night. We'll take a look at those. How's it going here how'd it go this week in the W?
That was pretty good. Some great games. We saw, Minnesota take their first loss, and is New York going to take their first loss Saturday? We'll find out.
All right, and it would be key, right, as we're getting close to the major second portion of the Commissioner's Cup. Money's going to be on the line. Some of these games are still pretty big at this point, trying to get to that championship game. So let's take a look at our three games here for Saturday. First one off here, 1 p.m. We were joking about the times, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. Big CBS game here with the Sparks on the road taking on the Lynx. The Lynx are favored here by 10. The total here 163. Ron, of course, the Lynx are 3-1 currently in the Commissioner's Cup, 9-1 overall. Sparks are 2-2 in the Commissioner's Cup. They can still make some noise. 4-7 overall. Let me hear it.
Yeah, we talked about it. Rakia Jackson back for the Sparks. I like it. Minnesota coming off that first loss, we did have Seattle in that one. Of course, we were looking at that one. But if you look at the history between these two, the under has been prominent in there. And again, you got a great defense with the Minnesota Lynx, and I think they shored up. I don't know if they cover that 10 and 10 and a half, but I'm going to take the under 162 and a half. Give me the under.
All right, Ron, going under here, LA and Minnesota on Saturday. Well, Ron, you keep telling me the Minnesota Lynx just aren't great at covering some of these big numbers, especially at home. And then
Yep.
looking at it here, 1-3 against the spread at home right now, and they're always going to be pretty much favored against every team in the league, maybe except one. They might still be favored over them too. So here you are laying 10 against I don't know, pretty terrific dog in LA right now. Maybe I was
Playing well.
wrong. Yeah, because I said, they are 4-7. I get that, but 4-1 against the spread on the road, and well, we watched it, right? We talked about it with Jackson. Could it be? Ron, you were spot on, brother, talking about it, and Jackson had the big game, so it just was a matter of getting the comfortability there. Hopefully Plum can show confidence in Jackson, because that would be just a huge plus for this team to kind of be a little bit closer knit, it feels like. So I'm going to have to grab these
Yeah.
10 points and tell Minnesota, yeah, I'm sure they can go off at any time, but just feels like they've just going out there getting the job done. So I'm going to take the Sparks plus 10. Ron says go under 162 and a half here on Saturday. All right, let's get into the next one now as we've got the Liberty taking on the Fever. Well, yeah, I guess it's a big one here, Ron. This is the ABC game here with the Liberty favored on the road, but we know the news here is going to be the return of Caitlin Clark. I think we're sure this time, Ron. Looks like we're gonna see Caitlin for sure in this one, and the spread maybe reflects that. We still have the Liberty favored, maybe because the Fever have struggled without Clark. They're just 4-5 straight up. Ron, meanwhile, for the Liberty so far, 9-0, 6-3 against the spread. They do cover some of their numbers too. Total here 171. Bonner doubtful. Cunningham looks like she's back as well. The two ladies look like they're enjoying their time on the bench, but I'm sure they're glad to get back on the court.
Definitely. Yeah, we get Caitlin back. That's the word anyway. But, didn't we see this like a month ago, this exact matchup? I think me and you had the New York Liberty on the money line, and then it just rose up to like 3.5. Now it's 5. Man, I don't know. I got to look at the same thing. Yes, last month. I mean, when they met, the darn thing was in the 170s, and now we're getting a low total like that. What are they telling us? So they've raised the spread to almost 6. I saw the opening was what, 6.5. It's down to 5 now, and then last time they went way over the total, and I was on the under that day actually. Oh man, you got two great defenses. You got Caitlin back. That place, Gamebridge, should be should be rocking, depending on what happens tonight, right? Yeah. Um, I got to look at the Fever again. They covered the first time as a 2 point game, but I'm looking at the Fever again. If I'm going to get 5 points this time, there's still, the old adage, 9-0 on the road may get their first loss, and I think we're probably looking at the same scenario that we did with the Seattle Storm and the Minnesota Lynx. Can the Liberty take the first loss? I don't think so. They're really the crop and the beast of the East, if you will. But I'm gonna take the points with Indiana.
No, it does sound like it'll be a pretty good game. We're going to see, more Indiana at full strength here, obviously, and it was rough sledding a little bit. They started to find themselves with a couple of wins in a row without Clark. Then they got blown out again. So there could be a little bit of adjustment though too. So I'm wondering if that will affect them there. But they're still working out. I'm sure Clark's going through, even with her injury there, she was rehabbing, at least going through some workouts and making sure that all the flow is there for Indiana. So look, this would have been a little bit more highly anticipated, I would think, if she had been playing, just because their record probably would have been better. I think out of those 3 games, they probably would have won surely one of them, if not 2 of them, with her in the lineup. So look, the total here did move, Ron, basically, I think, on the news that they would return. Like I said, we don't even know officially, but all the press reports, beat writers kind of say you're ready to go here, and that's helped the total go up a little bit. I was going to go premium with the total, but I'm going to go with it here on the show.
Right.
I think I would gone up from 167 to 171.5, but still, you said it.
I'm with
What
you.
was it, 90 to 88 in that first meeting we
Yeah, it was
mentioned?
90, 178 last time, and
Oh,
and this thing opened at 169.5. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So yeah,
but look who
see
got
the
the
move.
money.
The move's working. Yeah, the move's working our way. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you said, look who got the money, right? The Liberty we were talking about. Yeah, Liberty can win this game, and it went all the way up. You said 4, I think you said, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
obviously the Fever covered in a 2 point loss, and it did go over. Interestingly, Ron, it was 174.5 when the game went off, and this one's 171.5. Maybe because of the league trends. But I've already pointed out we're starting to see a little. Feels like a little more scoring here all of a sudden. I'm
Yeah,
kind of.
and points matter, Ramon. In these Commissioner Cups, points do matter. We want the high scoring games,
That's right.
definitely. So
That's a great point as well. And so I was going to say, when it comes to unders, Ron, I'm over it a little bit with those unders, and I'll take the
I hear
over.
you.
I'll take the over in this one with Liberty and Fever. No matter how you look at it, it's supposed to be one of the most biggest games of the regular season, if not
Yeah,
the Commissioner's Cup itself. And don't forget, you're right, Fever 2-1 in the Commissioner's Cup still, despite these troubles that they've had.
still
And
alive.
the Liberty
Hmm.
3-0. You know what happens if the Fever wins? They have the upper hand on the Liberty with that win.
And I
All
think
right.
Jones is questionable as well for New York, so that's a
Oh, for
big
sure. Thank
one.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if she's going to make it actually in this
I don't
in
know.
this
Yeah.
lineup, but I think it is going to be a game time decision here. But it didn't
And you
look
said the
good.
one about Bonner is questionable or doubtful
Water
now?
is doubtful
Okay.
here
All right.
right
Yeah,
now.
that's
Heading into this one. Yeah, this was relatively new news that came out just about an hour before
okay.
we went to air. So
Good.
the
Good
personal
info.
situation, though not an injury, she'll be probably back right away there. Okay, good game. Wow. Okay, let's go to Seattle taking on the Golden State Valkyries here. Storm favored by 10. They've looked good. They've looked not so good in some games. We've kind of questioned whether we had overrated them a little bit. I think they're starting to live up to expectations and anticipations. 6-4 record. Golden State, Ron, 4-5, and
Wow,
man,
right?
story, right? And they're 2-2 in the Commissioner's Cup. Seattle is 3-1, but still a 10-point favorite. I don't know if the bookmakers or the public has maybe adjusted for how good this Golden State team is. And like I said, you've explained it to me too. This is a program. It's not a short-term situation. They're looking long-term, and they seem to be right on track. 6-3 against the spread, by the way. But Seattle pretty good on the road. ATS 3-1, I believe. Total of 158.5, by the way.
Yeah, you're giving me 10 points at home with the Valkyries. I'm going to take, especially after Seattle's big win, beating the Minnesota Lynx and giving them their first loss. If you look at Seattle, what they did after that big win against the Aces, they struggled the next game as well. So definitely a low spot for Seattle here. So and the Valkyries, man, they just keep doing it, man. Like you said, maybe they put together the ultimate new franchise, their team, because they're doing it this year and they're not anywhere near the bottom in my power ratings. So yeah, give me the Valkyries plus 10.
Yeah, I think you're. Yeah, if you said, look, Seattle better at home, and then you were saying, I'm not. They haven't been living up to. Then they had that big home game, right, to show that hey, we still are the Storm at Climate Pledge. We still get it done at home.
Well, the
But
bigger teams, like you said, it's the bigger teams that come in there. They just stomp the crap out of them. But those weaker teams, like they play down their competition. They're still a great home team, but I think they play down their competition. And just like I said with the Sky tonight, it's kind of an Atlanta Dream lay down spot tonight, I think. And I think we see the same thing with Seattle laying down a little bit, not taking it as seriously for this one against the
the
Valkyries.
other thing too, and I've said it already once, and I'm probably going to say it again because I'm just so impressed. I mean, there are Look, you're in the Bay Area. You're going to have a lot of fans, if you know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, right? They're coming out. They're selling out every game. This is a franchise that, what a great call by the WNBA, averaging almost 18,000 fans per game, and it's not a fluke. It's not like let's go check out this product. This team is going to sell out almost all the games this season, especially with a great start like this. I'm sure
Oh yeah.
that'll carry on. So, hey, I've got the over, though, in this run, Ron, 158.5. I can't give you
Yep.
any trends that would show that these teams are necessarily going over so far this season, other than Golden State's dramatically improved defense. It does feel like it, at least at home. And we know Seattle has a pretty decent offense here so far, given some of their totals. Remember that game when they scored 94 against Minnesota,
Yeah.
88 against Phoenix. So they're putting up some points too. Give me the over 158.5 in that one. And Ron says, take the Valkyries, our new favorite
Yeah, that's
team
too
here.
many points. I got it. Maybe a 5, 6 point game. That's way too many points there.
For sure. Again, I think everybody just looking past this team. They see expansion. Even though we've been here doing plenty of shows, Ron, not everybody's seen them yet. All right. It's going to do it for the 2-3 zone. And thank you for joining us. Ron, what's going on here this weekend over at Tony'sPicks.com?
Well, we're continuing into the NHL and NBA playoffs. Hit another one with Edmonton last night, and did another night with the Indiana Pacers. Let's see what happens tonight. But great finals. We might be 2-2 after tonight. You never know in the NBA. We're 2-2 there in NHL. It's doing great. We're gonna get some more action. It's gonna take you into next weekend the way it's looking right now in both of the NBA and NHL finals. And of course, we have the Commissioner's Cup getting halfway through right now, and I'm still one of the top leaders in the WNBA. So you can still get that yearly package if you like. That'll take you through the playoffs in October. So yeah, definitely it's doing good. And baseball, I finally got it turned around, so they're heating up in baseball as well. So all the sports you can find with me, and you can find with Ramon. So pair us up. Let's make some money.
Yeah, and I'll have my premium plays over there as well this weekend. Major League Baseball, I'm pretty hot right now. And of course, I'll be joining Ron and some of our WNBA and some of the other peripheral sports because that's what it's all about in the summer. And hey, if you love sports betting, the opportunities are a little different than the mainstream sports. And well, Ron and I, we delve into these completely. So take a look at us over there at Tony'sPicks.com. Check over the leaderboard, see who hot out of all the cappers, and then get signed up. Use that promo code Tony T at checkout. Save 15%. Tell them I told you to do so. All right, it's going to do it here for the 2-3 zone. We'll be back with more WNBA action next time. For Ron Crawford, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us.